If you ask a young chassan, what do you expect your marriage will look like? Likely this young fellow will say to you, oh, it's going to be great. I love her and she loves me. It's going to be wonderful, happiness, glee, bliss forever and ever. Even though this young man might be a difficult person to get along with, even though this young man may be troublesome, even though he may have fights with his parents, with his roommates, with his friends, even though he himself may recognize the fact that he is quite a difficult person, it won't matter. Why? Because I love her, she loves me, and we'll be happy forever and ever together in unending bliss. Unfortunately, the divorce courts are filled with people just like that. But what went wrong? He was so in love. She was so in love. It was so perfect. What went wrong was they were not in love, they were infatuated. Infatuation is a force that Hashem created to serve a purpose. The purpose is to begin the bond and to begin the marriage, but then it's their job to work. Then it's their job to actually learn to appreciate each other. And then it's their job to recognize their strengths, their weaknesses, discover what it is that really bothers their spouse about them, and then learn to change. Unfortunately, many couples are unable or unwilling to make that change. If a couple walks in designed perfectly for each other, a beautiful match, and they're deeply, madly, passionately in love, or so they think, there is no question that they're going to have a lot of trouble if they're incapable and unwilling to do that difficult work called change. At the end of the day, Hashem arranges marriages now as He always did, and at the end of the day, Hashem is mezavek zivugim. If you found your bashert, it's then your job to work on yourself, to then develop yourself so that you no longer bother your spouse. And if you hear from your spouse a litany of complaints, it's your job to then work on it. This may not be the end-all and be-all to every marriage situation, but this is the basics. The understanding that our job together is to build a bond of harmony and love. But to do that, we have to both nurture that bond, but especially we have to focus on what it is that I do that bothers my spouse. When they do that, the couple naturally transfer from infatuation to a true bond of love. They create a happy, beautiful, harmonious marriage, and they enjoy a life together. But if they're unable or unwilling to do that difficult thing called change, they're destined to a lot of suffering, very likely ending a marriage that should have been made in heaven and that ended up in Gehenna.